Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I have Erin Silver joining me today. I'm really excited. I'm so curious on where you go with this one.
Mm-hmm.
Pet peeve of the industry right now. What grinds your gears?
What grinds my gears is when people talk about their culture and they say we're a family. It grinds my gears because I mean, we don't have a drunk uncle, but if we did, that kept showing up at Christmas and like ruining, family photos and just whatever. Like they're still family.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of them.
Right.
And so to say that your salon or your team or whatever is a family.
Yeah.
I do think like I love the intention behind it.
Right.
Like
when it comes from a good
people.
place, yes.
Yeah.
But when you get into the place that it's like enabling behaviors.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And you get so close and then, like many families, you don't have good conversations and healthy and tough conversations and all of that. I'm like, we're not a family. We're an organization. We're a business. Like, we care about each other. We're a team. You know, we're working towards the common goal and the common vision. But, family.
I love that because, you're able to look at something and there's a time in like Anagen's tenure that I think that was a narrative that was said and it was said until the point that it didn't work anymore. And then you had like, oh, wait a minute, this thing got bigger, right?
Yeah.
It isn't, it's not like we can just be like, hey, by the way, this behavior isn't great. Can you change your last name? Right? Like that's interesting.
How about for you?
Yeah. So right now it's everyone that has this conversation about one way being better than the other. And it's always, recently it was that both rental models and commission models are off or wrong. And the reason it grinds my gears is at the end of the day, I've said it before, it's just all about margin. It's all about what you're able to do, what value you're able to create, and the way that everyone wins. So that's that narrative right now, because I think, and all the way down into even what we're going to get into today somewhat with, the Artist Academy, the reason that we built it is so that as many people can win as possible, right? Yeah. It's built so that the human that's coming into your company is set up for success and wins. It's built for the lead team, education team that you have serving in your company are set up with an organizational process to win. It's set up for the owner to have what we didn't even engineer it for, which is like a really interesting HR piece, right? So that the owner is set up to win, right? So going back to it, I believe that everything is actually about margin. It is what amount of money comes into the building? What is the split of that? Where does it go? How are costs covered? Is there profit? Even in some of the, great conversations that we've had, like down to like the things that we can build into our break even, so that if you have a dream that's within your budget, like you can't do that just necessarily within a model where it's just you and you're just by yourself, right? So it's about margin. It's not that one model is better than the other. I think that they can serve at different places of your career. At the end of the day, we just tend to land on the side of that we're better together. Yeah. And again, that's an agreeable principle. So I love that. So if there's a takeaway there, there's no such thing as a perfect or bad model. It's about your application of it. And then there's also like culture is more than family.
Yeah. Well, I also think too, I'm like, my goodness, leadership, systems, and processes. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. I mean, there are some rental salons that are great. There's some commission salons that are great. And there's also some that are not great. You know what I mean?
Right. All right. So on that, and you queued this up perfectly. Let's jump into today's episode. All right, y'all. So we're going to jump in. Today, we're going to talk about the Artist Academy. Shameless plug, but the reason that we're going to focus into it and sharing it is this thing has turned into and continues to evolve and turn into so much more than really I think we ever originally. I mean, we knew what its intention was, but it's like it has like this ability to evolve, and in its states of evolution, it just brings more value to the table. So we're going to try and talk through a few things and look at it from a different perspective. So we got some questions queued up. Let's go.
Well, I wanted to, like, as we were thinking about this, we put it into Chat GPT, and Evan always gets on to me for how I say that, but Chat GPT.
Yep, you're right.
Okay.
And now apparently the cool kids will call it chat. And then some of them, like the most evolved, they actually don't call it chat. They have named their Chat GPT.
Oh, what would you name your
I
Chat
haven't.
GPT?
I haven't. But that exercise we did earlier today, and now that it gave me a nickname, I feel like I have to give it a nickname back.
Okay.
And this is a shout out. This is a shout out to Tony. I refer to Tony as my like real life Pepper Potts from the Avengers.
Okay.
Tony Stark's like main, right?
Nice.
So I might call my chat Pepper.
Pepper. Okay.
Yep. Pepper, Peppa. I'm not sure yet, but I like that. That's what would you name yours?
To be determined. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. I'm going to have to see what my chat wants to be called.
Well, in the famous words of Scott Hauser, we might circle back to that.
Yeah, we'll circle back.
Yep.
But as we were thinking about it, I was like, okay, what are some kind of nuances of the Artist Academy that I was not expecting? And just to kind of, give a little background, but like it was created, we launched it in September of last year, but we each and our individual companies had our own training process. And so kind of taking that out of the equation, and really once it launched, we were all doing the Refine Artist Academy. And it's, what were the kind of nuances? What were the surprises that happened when you launched it? And in my mind, for me, it was, I realized how incorporating a program like that would allow me to feel confident enough to hire so many people.
Yeah.
That part right there was really interesting. And we're on kind of the other side of that. We had very high, we've got big goals for 2025, and we knew that started with what we did in 2024.
Yep.
So we had 5 associates going through it at one time. And that I would have never done without the Artist Academy.
Yeah.
Ever.
Well, and it's so interesting, right? The part that's a unique experience and a unique challenge within our industry is it's when you move from something that you have to be one-on-one to remove yourself from it, create a resource, and now you can multiply it because they're all getting access to the same thing, right? And it is one of those experiences that you're able to then scale the unscalable. Before, the unscalable piece was you can't, it'd be hard to have multiple people doing multiple things at once and pay attention to all 5 of them in a fair way.
Correct.
Right?
Yes. And now it's very much, they know exactly what video it is that they're watching. They know what they're supposed to be doing on their education day.
Yeah.
There's a process in how they get signed off. Everything's just moving like clockwork.
Yeah.
And it's become more scalable than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
I love that we start here because in your sharing of, right? So it's the realization from the side of salon ownership, right? Now, the part that I got to experience was from the artist. So what on our side of it was we didn't have to necessarily have direct one-on-one time for them to be able to move forward. So it freed up your time, right?
Yes.
But on that, because it is a digital experience and it's because it's completely on their phone, I saw it from the side of them wanting to move forward at a more aggressive rate.
Yes.
So over, it might have been their long weekend or in the unique situation, it was our teammates' week without her kids. Her week without her kids, she would go double down, right?
Yes.
And just taking a mannequin head home and all the things like that. So it's really interesting because on both sides of it, it actually freed up time and allowed from both roles for them to focus in on the thing that really mattered at the time.
Well, and I think about that too, because this individual that you're talking about, very driven.
Yep.
It's very motivated.
Yeah. I go to her Instagram stories for motivation. She is just pumping out. She wants it. She is putting out there to the universe that hey, I am here and I want to roar.
Do you think that she would have been on your team or quite as motivated had you not given her the opportunity to progress that quickly?
I think that can be uncertain because I think that's just naturally in someone. But I do believe that it's inarguable. And also what does it show? That's like when someone is first on site, last to leave. It's that type of hey, I'm doing this because of me, but I'm also doing it in the sense that like what I'm modeling right now is going to tell you that I want it. My actions are showing that I want it.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
yes. And I really, really feel like it's who as she is, but it also was being set up with this thing that she's like, I don't need you right now. I can do this at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, 5 o'clock in the morning if I
There's
want to.
almost like that ownership, maybe.
Yeah.
And I do think we will never know the answer to the question that I asked, but I do think there's something to be said for giving opportunities to learn to your entire team.
Yeah.
And often. And I think that the likelihood that you'll retain that person long term is massive when you give opportunities.
Yeah.
Because if you're not, they're going to go find opportunities and that are not in your building.
Right.
And I'm like, that is key to retaining those high performers. It's key to attracting high performers that are coming up behind her.
Yeah.
You know?
When your onboarding is set up, right and wise, it's a catalyst.
Yeah.
It's something that is put into the timeline of the equation, and it's inarguable to the path that it gives them momentum and moves them forward. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Hey, shameless plug. We want to continue to serve. Check out the App Store. Type in The Refined Network. It's available both on Apple and Android. Here's the thing. It's a way that we can continue to serve you. All of our podcasts, all of our digital resources, and our community is there. Here's the thing. We believe that we're better together. Back to the episode.
How do you know for a fact that it will move the guest experience and the culture? That was one of the questions. And the bottom line, we're both salon owners.
Yeah.
And I want to know before I say yes to something, before I spend,
Yeah.
$3,500 on the Artist Academy.
Yeah. This one, I love the real life example shared, and shout out and thank you, Michelle, for this one, getting to share. It was, she was one of, what if we called it our Kickstarter, from Lanza's big event. And she had reached out and was like, hey, is it okay if we have our like senior staff that want to go through this, because they're seeing already the ability of these humans finishing, because we start out with finishing, there's that, and it's very, very methodical, right? There's a lot of intention of how we lay out the process to it. But that was her sharing. She's like, is it normal to have like your senior team wanting to go through it? She's like, they want to be able to finish at the level that these humans are. So to your answer about the client experience and culture, I think absolutely. It's a shared experience. It's a shared understanding. It's shared language, shared technique. Yeah. I think that there's, there's a beauty in the spontaneity of what we do, right? Like within the craft of hair, I think it's inarguable that if we say that there's like specific principles that we align to, but it would be okay if you take a couple different ways to get there, right? Which, want to still celebrate that. Yeah. But the one thing that the Artist Academy will do is when deployed on a team like that is, everyone is now finishing to a specific level. Awesome. Right. You go through, the consultation videos that we just grabbed, again, like automatic, right? So I think that it's inarguable. And the more curious the mind is of the team, and then the more open that the owner is. And like, as that's again, one of the things that we have you do, like we onboard you specifically as an owner. And we do. It's an encouragement. And I'd say even like softly saying like required, like watch the content because there's gold in there, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think absolutely it's a complete addition. And I think the guest feels it in time.
So I guess in my mind too, and you're the spreadsheet guru and created, if we had more time, we'd talk about how that spreadsheet was created, the ROI spreadsheet. But when we think about that, why, we built it for 6 months. And, I would say all in all, it probably with orientation, training and all that, just over 6 months, at least in our experience, if they're taking their time.
Yep.
But the ROI, how does an owner know that they're going to get a return on that investment, and how do they optimize that?
Yeah. So, We talked about it. We talked about it this morning a little bit, and I hadn't thought about running the math this way, but when you look at, yes, to get it in, because there's onboarding and orientation and a number of things, but once you have it, I mean, your cost per license is set, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we look at the cost per license at whatever the time stamp is of that person being in your company, we had said this morning, like what this has created for some people is this weird like HR situation, which is, hey, it showed us that this person wasn't going to be right in our company and we let them go within the first month. So when you think about that, if you were going to keep them on, and let's say, we would said this morning, like 6 months, 9 months, years, sometimes that you keep, some of these individuals in your company. And it's not that the individual's bad. It's just the expectations and the standards of the company are going to be brought down because of what they're able and want to put in. Right. So ran this math, and I was like, at what Anagen does, it was the cost of the license is 33.3 hours of pay. So 1 month of cost, when you look at the cost of that person being in your company for far too long, well, if they were out within the first 30 days, the way that I look at that is that next month it saved the cost of it because I would have paid them, right? Yeah. So like, that's one thing that I think that's really interesting. But to your point there, and like, I believe that the more that we kept on tweaking with the scenarios of it, it really got visible, especially to what you said about like 5 people at the same time, at the old amount of investment that you would need to put in the infrastructure of your team. So one, you're taking your top players, right? Top artists on the team, putting them into a one-on-one investment mode into the new artists. So now those service dollars have been moved there. The time has been moved there, right? Their experience.
Yeah.
And they in that scenario, yet they're not income producing, right? So like there's so many ways you can think about this, and every single one of them points to ROI. Old way.
Yep.
5 people. I mean, how many people would you need to be able to facilitate that without this system?
A lot.
Because that's the other thing too. Like this, it's documented. You have a workbook. It's on the phone. Like we've thought of it, right?
Well, what's so crazy is that the first time we optimize it and we go through the whole process, and then we learn, we reflect.
Yep.
And then I'm like, you know what? Actually, we can really we can afford, and this is individual to each company, but we can afford to add one more education day. But what that also means is that I get them trained quicker.
Yep.
Which lowers the cost of training.
Yep.
And it increases how soon I will get my return on investment. And I say that we're still talking about human beings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love that you're going here, because in my mind, I'm literally right with you. Like, yes.
Yeah, we're still talking about human
beings. We're not pulling the
beings.
empathy out of this.
No, but I'm like, if I want to attract high-performing, driven people, if I don't somehow figure out how to effectively get them trained with excellence, with quality, efficiently, I'm not going to attract those people.
Right.
The average person coming into our salon, they don't want to be assisting for 6, 7, 8, 9 months. So I'm like, I have to meet those people where they're at and figure out a way to train them quicker and get them on the floor. Yeah,
I love this one too, because speaking of ROI to the potential new hire in the company, right before I left to come down here, I had an interview, and this human straight out of school went into a rental situation. It was the narrative of what she thought, right? She's like, hey, I'm a big, she's like, I'm big on TikTok, and I had my, influencers that I'm following and what their narrative is. Got into a really bad contract. And that contract not only blocked her from doing specific services, right? It was bad, really bad. And this is the real world. Contracts are contracts, right? So, and I had asked her, I was like, hey, so just out of curiosity, like, one, I want to celebrate that, like, you tried something. Like, I want to celebrate that. But tell me why you're here right now, right? Because I look at, like, the game of life as like chutes and ladders, right? There's big ladders that fall. Sometimes there's a little chute, right? And I was like, it's seemingly like you'd be like taking a step back. Tell me why you're here. And she's like, well, one, I want to work with other people. And secondly, I want to be taught by other people. and I didn't have that. And I didn't realize how important it was, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, again, we look at the fringe benefits of this system, of this program. It's just so cool. Because like I said, we
Yeah.
knew that we had good intention, and we knew that it was a need, and we knew that there were gaps in the industry for it,
Yep.
right? But my Lord, now being able to look at it from every one of these angles, like even in that last one, share the potential person that's kind of restarting from their new, their new career.
Yeah.
Wild.
Well, it's interesting as you were saying that, I was like, okay, the fringe benefits to that new stylist. Of course, that's obvious. But as you have high performing people that are growing in their careers, they also have different desires, different goals, all of the things as they grow.
Yep.
And they want to teach. They want to pass on that legacy. So it's almost like this perfect, kind of like fit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I would be very selective in who is
on your team to do that.
On your team to do that because, you're going to replicate that person to a T, and you want to make sure that you replicate that perfectly.
Right.
Or not perfectly, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
With thought and intention. But it fills that void on both sides, for the 20-year veteran stylist to then now have someone under their wing.
Yeah.
And then also for that new stylist to be under the wing of the 20-year veteran.
Gosh, as you were saying that, I was like, there's this idea, I think of like the way that birds fly in a V formation. The reason that they fly in the V formation is to draft for the birds that are behind them, right? But the bird that sits in the front of the V doesn't always sit there.
Right.
It will transition back and then let another one jump in. And again, like a beautiful metaphor for like the salon owner, right? Yeah. When you deploy this in your company, likely this is something that you lead from the top of the V. But the cool thing is once you know it, you're like, hey, let's say that's relationship. You're my boss. And I'm like, hey, Erin, I have this, I want to share my passion, and I think I could do this. Like, I'd love to have someone that I'm working with.
Yeah.
Beautiful ability, right? And again, like at the cost of a license.
Right.
What are we doing?
Right. I know. It's insane. It's really
I hadn't thought about it that way. That's cool.
I know, it really is. I like the V formation. That's kind of an
study
interesting.
that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
The momentum of that. But again, and Evan and I speak to this often. The relationship of thinking of a triangle that you're at the top is ego-based. If you flip that thing on its head, that's someone that understands they can lead from within. And that move is when the bird at the top of the V moves somewhere back into formation.
Yep. Well, I think about someone very specific, but Sam Villa. We were just talking about this today, and I noticed him at Premiere, and he's really elevating others on the stage.
Yeah.
And that's that leading from within. Everybody knows how great Sam Villa is. Everybody knows. I mean, he's awesome, but he's elevating these other educators who have a lot to share. And I think that's a really cool way to really elevate and lead, just from a different.
Yeah. And that man just exudes servant leadership.
Yeah. No, it's so good. So, maybe, is there anything that you think would hold somebody back from purchasing the Artist Academy, like salon? Like what else would they want to know, you think?
The thing that would maybe hold someone back, in my mind, is it going to be a cost thing? The ROI, no matter which way you look at it, we've hit on that one. It literally would have to be someone that was like, I don't want to invest. I don't want to have systems that are consistent. I don't want to have a process that I'm able to have people do this and almost like see like how much autonomy they have. You would need to be someone that likes chaos and inconsistency.
Yeah. And I think too, a lot of times the salon owner moves at the speed of chaos.
Yeah.
And I think when you slow down and really take the time to understand that, yes, this is new, we're here to support you, all of those things, and you actually take that leap to invest in that for your team.
Yeah.
It only takes the experience of going through it and you seeing those wins over and over again, like
Yeah.
that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And it takes you to operate out of abundance and
Yeah.
not scarcity
Yeah.
or small-mindedness. It's like sometimes we just focus on, the fact that, the door is closed and you can't get out of the room. But I'm like, wait a minute, the door is unlocked.
Right.
All you have to do is push it.
Yeah. As you were saying that, it in my mind, I was like, you're moving from a place of like chaotic reactivity to calm, methodical
plan.
Yeah, but like
plan.
response, like I can respond to that,
Yes.
right? A response is like thought out versus a reaction, right?
Yes. Yes.
And I think that's one of the main pieces to look at it. Yeah, I think within looking at the industry right now, I mean, if you look at as that human that I was just talking about earlier that jumped into that rental situation, I think a great question that I could have asked her was like, hey, was it like this narrative that you're going to spend a year to a year and a half? Because like I still see that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, we're always studying salons. We sit from a humble place that we are trying real hard, but we don't have everything figured out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I still look, and when you see these like year and a half long onboarding situations, we're like, I know that you haven't done the math. And then the other part of it is, when you think of it this way, bringing 5 people into your company, right? We know at their ability to scale. So let's say, as a salon owner, let's say that you're doing 20 grand a month in services. The idea to bring 5 people on at the same time and be able to lead that, right? And do so, individually to each one of them and be able to spend that time and run it the way that you do. You think about it and it's like, okay, cool. Well, how quick does a person get to doing $4,000 in service revenue in a month?
Mm-hmm.
Well, whatever that timeline is, if it's, let's say it's 9 months.
Yeah.
At 9 months, you've just replaced your income, right? I should say your service income, met it, matched it, whatever you want to, like whatever narrative you want to say. But like, it's an interesting thought.
Well, it's really interesting too. Yes. I think about that and I'm like, okay, that's where you come in. That's where Tony comes in with scale coaching and break-even points and all of those things, because there's a very specific break-even point if you're going to have somebody train with you for 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's, they are non-revenue generating for a time,
right.
But the quicker you get them on the floor producing,
yep.
And again, we're talking about people, and when I say that, it feels very like non-empathetic, and I don't mean it that way by any stretch.
Yeah.
But you get them earning income, that's good for the company.
Yeah.
But guess what? They're so excited to be behind the chair and be confident and be putting out beautiful hair, 6 months into their career.
Yeah. And I love that, the thing, and maybe as you're thinking about this, to really drive home, we've both been sensitive within this conversation to not make it sound like a machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And though the reality of it is, it's inarguable that the world changed once the iPhone came out,
Mm-hmm.
right? There were people in the beginning that hated the iPhone, right? Now it's been adopted. It's standard. And I think other companies base what they do based on the development and the use of that tool, right? So as we're being sensitive, it actually, like my story is that when you move from reactive to responsive, that immediately sounds like a different leader, right? So I think that, as we wrap this one up and have that focus be to it, it literally is a system that's going to free up your time, help your team move through this process in a way that's good to be experienced. The nice thing is, and we kind of alluded to this, like they're able to move forward to the things that they understand. And because they're moving through in this way, and in the amount of one-on-one time you need to review, if something looks good, great. Mm-hmm. But when something's not great, now we know where to go. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten there at a much, much faster rate of time because this is self-led. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just so cool. So I want to acknowledge you, the work that you've put into what is the Artist Academy. It's stunning. It's so beautiful. And I think that to every human, because the wild thing is now, Erin, at this point of it, right? Before you had to live in South Carolina and you needed to be someone that wanted to work at Silver Salon to have access, right? And now the amount of people that we're serving all over the states, right?
Yeah.
And not only the humans that are going to the companies, but like the lead team, the education teams, and the owner's time that have been freed up because of the work that we're doing here.
Well, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, like, you know what you know what you need to know, but you don't know what you need to know. You know?
You're much smarter in that way. I was like, you had me confused at what I don't know and where I need to.
But at the end of the day, you don't know that you need it until you have it in your company and you see it, and you have to at some point take a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And just get it for your company. Know that we're here to support. We're here to answer questions. We'll onboard. We'll answer any questions. We've seen it work in both of our companies.
Yeah.
We never would have had the growth that we had in the last 12 months had we not implemented that same exact system in our company.
Yeah, in the feedback we've received from the salons that have made the investment in this, it has so many fringe benefits, and every day I feel like there's like something I'm like, I never thought about it that way. So hey, first, like I said, acknowledging you, it's a beautiful thing that we've been able to create, and also, I mean, we did it for y'all. So at this point of it, if you have questions, reach out to us. hello@therefinednetwork.com. We're here to serve you. And as always, I'm just getting to share time and space and talk through something. We both hold a lot of passion. And at the amount of time we've been in the industry, I think the cool thing is when you're in this legacy mode of wanting to make it easier for those that are following in the wake of it, because we understand the challenges actually, and we're trying to make a difference, this is making a difference. So thanks for sharing time.
Awesome.